Walk into the cleaning aisle of any American grocery store today, and you will find an entire wall of plastic bottles. Glass cleaner, granite spray, stainless steel polish, shower foam, toilet gel, grout whitener, oven degreaser. There are somewhere between 20 and 30 specialized products sitting under the average kitchen sink right now, and the typical household spends roughly $600 to $800 a year keeping them stocked. But open the cabinet beneath your grandmother's sink 70 years ago, and you would find maybe 5 things: a box of baking soda, a jug of white vinegar, a lemon or two, a bar of soap, and a stack of rags cut from old towels. That was the entire cleaning arsenal, and her house was cleaner than yours. These are 20 of those forgotten tricks. Number 20. Baking soda as the all-purpose scouring powder. Before Soft Scrub existed, before Comet came in that green can, there was a yellow box of Arm & Hammer sitting on the kitchen shelf, doing the same job for a fraction of a cent. Baking soda has a pH of about 9, making it mildly alkaline, which is exactly what allows it to dissolve grease and break down the organic compounds that make surfaces sticky and discolored. Its mild abrasive quality scrubs without scratching, something most commercial scouring powders cannot promise, because their grit is far coarser and far harsher on porcelain and enamel. A poor family in the 1940s did not think of baking soda as a cleaning product. It cost pennies, lived in every pantry already, and happened to clean almost everything in the house. The kitchen sink got a sprinkle of it before a damp rag went across the surface. The stovetop got the same treatment. Burned pots and pans sat with a tablespoon dissolved in hot water for 10 minutes and came clean without steel wool. The inside of the refrigerator was wiped down with a baking soda paste every week, which kept it fresh without introducing any chemical scent to the food stored inside. That one box replaced the scouring powder, the degreaser, the surface spray, and the refrigerator deodorizer all at once. The idea that you needed a different product for every surface in the house had not been invented yet, and nobody missed it. Number 19. White vinegar for glass, mirrors, and hard water. Vinegar is a dilute solution of acetic acid, sitting at about 2 on the pH scale. That acidity makes it a natural enemy of mineral deposits, hard water stains, soap scum, and the cloudy film that builds up on glass over time. The standard mixture was equal parts white vinegar and water. A homemaker would dip a cloth, wring it nearly dry, and wipe the mirror or window glass in long, smooth strokes. Vinegar handled the bathroom mirror, the kitchen window, the glass cabinet doors, and the chrome fixtures, all with the same solution. No glass cleaner, no stainless steel spray, no separate chrome polish, just acid meeting mineral and winning. And beyond glass, vinegar poured down a slow drain with some baking soda and boiling water behind it could break up a minor clog without calling a plumber or buying a bottle of chemical drain cleaner harsh enough to require a warning label. That is the thing about poor family cleaning. It was not about having the perfect product. It was about understanding what dirt actually is and knowing which simple substance could dissolve it. Number 18. Newspaper for streak-free windows. After wiping the glass with the vinegar solution, a sheet of crumpled newspaper came out of the stack by the fireplace. The newspaper was wiped across the damp glass in broad circular strokes, and the result was a mirror finish with 0 streaks and 0 lint. Newsprint is denser and more tightly woven than paper towels or cotton rags. It does not shed fibers the way a cloth does, and the ink left a very thin film that actually helped repel future dust and fingerprints. The rule was always to use the black and white pages and never the colored advertisements or glossy inserts. This was the standard window cleaning method in American homes for decades, and it cost nothing because the newspaper had already been read and was headed for the trash or the fireplace anyway. Everything served at least two purposes before it left the house. Number 17. Lemon and salt for the kitchen sink and cutting board. Take half a lemon. Dip the cut side into a small pile of coarse salt. Scrub the surface of a stainless steel or porcelain sink, then rinse with hot water. That is the entire procedure, and it leaves the sink looking like it was just installed. The citric acid in the lemon cuts through grease and has antibacterial properties, while the coarse salt acts as a gentle abrasive that lifts stains without scratching the finish. The same method works on wooden cutting boards, where the lemon disinfected the surface and neutralized odors left behind by onions, garlic, and raw meat, while the salt scoured away discoloration trapped in the grain of the wood. No cutting board spray, no food-safe sanitizer in a plastic trigger bottle, just a lemon and a handful of salt, both of which were already sitting in the kitchen. Number 16. Boiling water for the drain. Before enzymatic drain cleaners and bottles of lye strong enough to dissolve hair, the first line of defense against a slow-running drain was a full kettle of boiling water poured straight down the pipe. The heat melts grease and soap buildup that has solidified along the walls of the drain. It loosens food particles. It softens whatever organic matter is narrowing the flow. In many cases, especially in kitchen sinks where the clog is grease-based, boiling water alone restores full drainage in about 30 seconds. A poor family did this once a week as prevention. The kettle was always on the stove anyway, and pouring the leftover water down the drain at the end of the evening was just one more step in the nightly kitchen reset. If boiling water alone was not enough, half a cup of baking soda followed by a cup of vinegar, capped with another kettle of boiling water after 15 minutes of fizzing, handled almost any household clog. Total cost, a few pennies.
Number 15. Old towels and t-shirts as cleaning rags. When a bath towel wore thin, when a t-shirt developed holes, when a bedsheet finally tore beyond patching, it did not go into the trash. It was cut into squares and added to the rag pile under the sink. These cotton rags were soft, absorbent, and lint-free after a few washes, and they could be laundered and reused hundreds of times. A family might have 30 or 40 rags cut from fabrics that had already served their original purpose for years. There was no ongoing expense, no weekly trip to the store for paper towels, no garbage bag full of used wipes headed for the landfill every Friday. The rag was used, rinsed, dried, and used again. When it finally fell apart after months of service, it was replaced by the next worn-out towel in the line. This was not environmentalism. This was economics. A poor family could not afford to throw away perfectly good cotton just because it had a hole in it. Number 14. Borax for the toilet, the tiles, and the laundry. Borax has been sold as a household cleaner for over 100 years. It comes in a box that costs a few dollars, lasts for months, and handles jobs that most families now assign to 3 or 4 separate products. Sprinkled into the toilet bowl and left overnight, borax breaks down stains and kills mildew without the fumes that come from commercial toilet cleaners. Mixed into a paste with water and applied to bathroom tile, it scrubs grout clean and removes the black mold that grows in damp corners. Added to the laundry, a half cup boosts cleaning power, softens hard water, and removes musty odors from towels and bedding. The pH of borax sits at about 9.5, making it strongly alkaline, which is what gives it the ability to dissolve grease and kill bacteria on contact. A poor family treated borax the same way they treated baking soda, as a bulk staple that lived in the cabinet and did a dozen jobs without requiring a dozen separate purchases. Washing soda is sodium carbonate, the stronger and more alkaline cousin of baking soda. Because baking soda has a pH of 9, washing soda pushes past 11. which makes it aggressive enough to cut through the kind of baked-on grease that accumulates inside ovens, on stove hoods, and around the burner pans on a gas range. A thick paste of washing soda and water was spread across the inside surfaces of the oven and left overnight. By morning, the carbonized grease had softened to the point where it wiped away with a damp rag. No spray can of oven cleaner, no chemical fumes strong enough to require an open window, no rubber gloves rated for hazardous materials, just an alkaline paste, time, and a rag. Number 12. Castile soap for everything the body and the house touched. Before there was dish soap, hand soap, body wash, floor cleaner, and countertop spray, all sold as separate products, there was one bar of Castile soap. Castile soap is made from vegetable oils, traditionally olive oil, and it produces a lather that cleans effectively without synthetic surfactants or artificial fragrances. Shaved into hot water, it became a liquid solution that mopped floors, washed dishes, and wiped down countertops. Rubbed directly onto fabric, it pre-treated stains before the laundry went into the basin. A poor family needed one product that worked everywhere, and Castile soap had been that product for centuries before the chemical cleaning industry decided to split it into 15 separate purchases. If you are finding value in these old tricks, consider subscribing. Each week, this channel looks at the quiet wisdom earlier generations carried, wisdom that still works if we are willing to pick it up again. Number 11. Cornstarch for window tracks, grease stains, and silver polish. Cornstarch is one of those ingredients that sounds like it belongs exclusively in the kitchen until you discover how many cleaning problems it quietly solves. Sprinkled into the tracks of a window frame and left for 15 minutes, cornstarch absorbs the grimy mixture of dust, moisture, and dead insects that collects in that narrow channel. A stiff brush sweeps it all out in one pass. On fabric, cornstarch was the first response to a grease stain. The powder was pressed into the stain immediately, where it absorbed the oil before it could set into the fibers. After sitting for an hour, the cornstarch was brushed away, and the garment went into the wash. Mixed with water into a paste and rubbed onto tarnished silverware, it served as a mild polish that restored the shine without scratching. One box from the pantry handled the window tracks, the grease stain on Dad's work shirt, and the good silverware for Sunday dinner. Number 10. Tea for cleaning wood furniture and floors. A poor family could not afford furniture polish in an aerosol can. What they could afford was a pot of black tea, already brewed and drunk. The tannic acid in tea is a mild cleaner that cuts through fingerprints and light grime on wood surfaces without stripping the finish. A rag dipped in cool tea and wrung nearly dry was wiped across a wooden tabletop or cabinet front, and the tannins left a subtle shine that actually nourished the wood rather than coating it in silicone the way commercial sprays do. For hardwood floors, the same tea was added to the mop bucket, producing a solution that picked up dirt and left the floor with a warm glow. Number 9. Hydrogen peroxide for stains and disinfection. A brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide cost almost nothing at the drugstore and served as the household disinfectant, stain remover, and mildew killer all in one. At 3% concentration, it kills bacteria, viruses, and mold spores on contact. Sprayed onto a kitchen counter after preparing raw meat, it sanitized the surface without leaving behind any chemical residue, because hydrogen peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen within minutes. On white fabrics, it lifted bloodstains, wine stains, and the yellowing that develops on collars and underarms. On bathroom tile, it killed mildew without the fumes of bleach. Number 8. Vinegar in the laundry as a fabric softener. Commercial fabric softener did not become a household standard until the 1970s. For decades before that, families who wanted soft towels and static-free clothing used a cup of white vinegar added to the rinse cycle. The acetic acid dissolves the soap residue that makes fabric feel stiff and scratchy after washing. The clothes did not come out smelling like vinegar. The acid evaporated during drying, leaving behind soft fabric with no artificial fragrance and no synthetic coating. And here is the part that matters. Vinegar actually makes towels more absorbent with each wash, while commercial softener does the opposite, leaving a layer of chemicals on every fiber that reduces absorbency over time. Number 7. Sunlight as a bleach and a disinfectant. Before chlorine bleach was marketed for home use in the 1930s, the primary way to whiten fabric and kill bacteria was ultraviolet light from the sun. Ultraviolet radiation breaks down the molecular bonds in stains, which is why a white sheet hung in the sun comes off the line brighter than it went on. That same UV kills bacteria and deactivates viruses on contact. Stained white linens were dampened, rubbed with lemon juice or a paste of baking soda, and laid flat in full sun for several hours. It cost nothing, damaged the fabric less than bleach, and left the laundry smelling like open air instead of chlorine. Number 6. Salt for cast iron care and spill absorption. A cast iron skillet with stuck food was cleaned by pouring a generous handful of coarse salt into the warm pan and scrubbing with a dry rag or a folded piece of newspaper. The salt removed the stuck food without stripping the seasoning, which soap would have done. The pan was wiped clean, heated briefly on the stove to evaporate moisture, and rubbed with a thin layer of cooking fat. That routine kept a single pan functional for 60 years. Salt also served as the first response to any liquid spill on fabric or carpet. Red wine on the tablecloth meant an immediate pile of salt over the stain. The salt absorbed the liquid before it could set into the fibers, and when brushed away an hour later, it carried most of the stain with it. Number 5. A baking soda paste for the bathtub and tile. A thick paste of baking soda and water was spread across the porcelain tub, left for 10 minutes, and scrubbed with a stiff brush or a cotton rag. The mild alkalinity dissolved body oil and soap scum, while the grit of the paste lifted the ring that forms at the waterline. For tile walls, the same paste was applied to the grout lines and scrubbed with an old toothbrush. No bathroom cleaner in a spray bottle. No tile-specific product with a special nozzle. No grout pen purchased from an infomercial. And the bathroom smelled like nothing at all, which was the whole point. A clean room should smell like a clean room, not like a chemical factory. A tablespoon of olive oil mixed with a tablespoon of lemon juice made a wood polish that furniture restorers still recommend today. The oil penetrated the wood and kept it from drying out and cracking, while the citric acid cut through fingerprints and the thin film of kitchen grease that settles on every surface in a home where food is cooked daily. Applied with a soft rag and buffed dry, this left wooden furniture with a deep, warm glow that commercial sprays cannot match, because those sprays sit on top of the finish rather than soaking into it. Number 3. Vinegar and baking soda for the toilet. A cup of baking soda was poured into the bowl and left to sit for several minutes. Then a cup of white vinegar was poured in. The chemical reaction produces carbon dioxide gas, and that fizzing action physically dislodges the mineral deposits, stains, and buildup that cling to the porcelain below the waterline. The key, according to chemists who have studied the reaction, is to use the mixture while it is still actively fizzing. The mechanical movement of the bubbles is what does the real work, so timing matters more than proportions. Pour, fizz, scrub, flush. Done. Number 2, a cotton sock on the hand for dusting. Pull a clean cotton sock over your hand. Dampen it lightly with water or a vinegar solution. Run your hand along every baseboard, every shelf, every windowsill, and every piece of furniture in the room. The sock conforms to corners, curves, and grooves that a flat duster or a feather wand cannot reach. Your fingers do the work, bending around chair legs and sliding into the gaps between books on a shelf. The dust sticks to the damp cotton instead of floating into the air to resettle somewhere else, which is exactly what a dry duster does. A poor family had dozens of mismatched socks with no partners, and every one of them became a cleaning tool. No Swiffer dusters, no disposable dusting pads, just a sock that was already paid for years ago. And finally, the trick that tied all of the others together. Number one caddy, 5 ingredients, and the refusal to believe that more products meant more clean. Inside that caddy was a box of baking soda, a bottle of white vinegar, a lemon or two, a bar of Castile soap, and a stack of cotton rags. That was it. 5 ingredients. No labels to read, no warnings to heed, no childproof caps to wrestle open, no cabinet full of half-empty bottles with overlapping functions and conflicting chemical compositions. The kitchen got baking soda and vinegar. The bathroom got baking soda paste and borax. The glass got vinegar and newspaper. The wood got tea or olive oil and lemon. The laundry got vinegar and washing soda. The drains got baking soda, vinegar, and boiling water. The floors got Castile soap in a bucket of warm water, and the whole house was clean by noon. The modern cleaning industry generates over $12 billion a year in the United States alone. It has spent decades convincing consumers that each surface requires its own specialized formula. Granite needs granite cleaner. Stainless steel needs stainless steel polish. Glass needs glass spray. Wood needs wood oil. The result is a cabinet crammed with 25 bottles, most of which use the same basic surfactant with minor formula tweaks and different fragrance profiles. The trick was never about having the right product. It was about understanding what dirt is, knowing which simple substance dissolves it, and doing the work consistently enough that nothing ever got the chance to build up. A poor family did not have the money to buy their way to a clean home. They had to think their way there instead. And the thinking, it turns out, was better than the buying ever was. Your grandmother was not behind the times. She was ahead of them. She cleaned her entire house with what she had in the kitchen because that was all she could afford. And it turns out that what she could afford was all she ever needed. The good news is that every single one of these tricks still works. The baking soda has not expired. The vinegar has not lost its acidity. The lemon still cuts grease. The sun still bleaches. And a cotton rag still picks up dust better than anything you can buy in a store. If this video made you rethink what is actually under your sink, there is a video right now about forgotten kitchen habits from that same generation that kept their homes running like clockwork without a single organizing product. You might recognize more of them than you expect.